Razabani for IFL TV in association with MTK Global. With me, I've got the one and only, the Omen himself, Mr. Spencer Oliver. Spencer, is it okay to start off with Happy New Year?
Yeah, Happy New Year to you, my friend. It's been a crazy one. Last year was crazy, weren't it? Difficult times for all of us. And this year's not started off any better. I mean, listen, the only positive we've got from this year so far is Saturday night. We got boxing back. We got boxing back on our screens, and that's the only thing now. It's sort of give me a little boost, because I thought once we come through this Christmas period, I thought we was going to get some good news, that things were going to start to relax and things were going to start to open up. And it just seems to be getting worse. You know, there's sort of no sign of any improvement anywhere. Government are doing a great job. You know, they're trying to contain this virus. It's a difficult thing that we're all going through. But yeah, it's hard physically and mentally. You know, we was talking about this before we started this interview, you know, how difficult it is to get yourself motivated, get yourself, up for it. So, I mean, I've done an excellent thing with Johnny Nelson. You know that we've done that workout plan, Get On It workout plan, which we done after the last lockdown. We decided to do it to keep people motivated, keep people focused and stuff. Well, now we've got an app coming out. So we spent that time. We had so much success with that one. We decided to develop an app that should be coming out sometime this week. It's called Box Pro, and we sort of mixed it up a little bit. We teach people, there's boxing tutorials on there. You know, what they learn how to throw the jab, the hook, the cross, the footwork. We've got 2-round workouts, 4-round workouts, 8-round, 10-round, 12-round. So it's just something it's all for free, by the way, as well. You can download the app for free. And take a look at it. But yeah, it's a good way of trying to keep people staying focused, keeping positive, you know, in these difficult times. So yeah, we've been spending a bit of time doing that and developing that.
Last year, when Anthony Joshua fought Kubrat Pulev, we had 1,000 fans back in the arena, and it seemed like there was 10,000 fans. I know you was there, but did it cross your mind that this is the breaking point? This is the turning point. Joshua's got fans in, and it's only going to get better. But all of a sudden, we come crumbling down and go back to point blank again.
Yeah, of course. Listen, it is only going to get better. Like, you know, I'm a big optimist. You know, the vaccine's a big turning point. You know, they're getting a lot of vaccines out at the moment. And I think once everybody gets vaccinated, the world will go back to normal. You know, that could take some months, but I'm positive, man. We saw having those crowds there at Joshua versus Pulev. That fight week was incredible. And then that night, like you say, there was 1,000 fans in there, and it seemed like it was a packed arena. There could have been 10,000 people there, and the atmosphere was electric. Joshua had done an amazing job. I was impressed with Joshua. I've got to say, mate, that was for me. He showed me more development. I spoke to him after the fight, actually, but he showed me more development, as in he showed me his patience. You know, when he boxed with Andy Ruiz the first time, he misjudged it. He got Ruiz hurt in the 3rd round, jumped on him, tried to finish the job, and got caught with a shot. And I think he's learned from that. He went back to the drawing board. He put in a good performance with Ruiz in the second fight. And against Pulev, he showed me a little bit more. He showed me he's got a bit of that spike, that bit of that fire back in his belly. You know, he put the pressure on him. A lot of people were saying he should have got Pulev out there in the 3rd round. Pulev's a decent fighter, a tough fighter. Pulev weathered the storm, spoke to Joshua, and he said, no, I realised that he wasn't ready to go. I made those mistakes before, took his foot back off the gas, went back to his boxing, picked his shots and broke him down. And for me, it was a calculated finish. I thought it was a great performance. Sets up an amazing fight for this one. Joshua Fury in the summer. I think that will happen sometime in June. And I can't wait for it.
We'll come to that in a moment. But we had no boxing in January. I know you're happy. And I'm happy that boxing returns this weekend with Josh Warrington. There's a number of events that Eddie has announced. Frank Warren has also announced his kind of roster, which is at the moment Frampton and Herring. But we've got Warrington this week. We've got Josh Kelly the week after with Avanesian, Frampton Herring. We've got the big one with Whyte and Povetkin. Lawrence Okoli world title shot. Conor Ben's back with another big fight with Samuel Vargas. Is there any one particular fight you're looking forward to? Let's put Whyte-Povetkin on the side for now, because we'll come to that in detail. But is there one fight that stands out that you're like, can't wait for this?
Yeah, there's one fight that I'm really looking forward to, and that's David Avanesian versus Josh Kelly. The reason I'm looking forward to that is because this is the acid test for Josh Kelly. Avanesian, we know what he does. We know what he delivers. He's strong. He's tough. He comes former world champion, still pulling off good victories. But Josh Kelly, you know, we saw him against Ray Robinson. He was a little bit lackluster on the undercard of the Joshua fight. He got away with getting a draw. He's had wins since, but this is his coming of age fight. You know, this is where we're going to find out whether he's the real deal. He looks in phenomenal shape, by the way. I think Josh Kelly will deliver. I think that he will. I think that we'll see the best performance of him so far. It's a tough fight, man. It's a 50-50 fight, but that one really gets me going. I'm looking forward to that one. I really am.
Then we've got the rematch, Dillian Whyte and Alexander Povetkin. I remember when obviously Dillian took that shocking loss back in August, he said to Eddie Hearn, get me the rematch. He wanted to go right back into it. It was scheduled for November. Povetkin then tested positive for COVID, got pushed back to January. Povetkin wasn't ready. They were looking at an alternative opponent. But do you think with all this waiting around that Dillian's had to do, it'll work in his favor? It's giving him more time to mentally and physically prepare himself best possible shape?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think that time is important for Dillian. You know, going straight back into the immediate rematch was a massive gamble. I know that that's what he wanted. He wanted to put the wrongs right. I've spoken to him since then as well. And he wanted to get back in there with Povetkin. Like you say, it was one moment, one lapse of concentration, threw the jab, pulled the hand back low, boom, uppercut, done, good night. No heavyweight would have withstand that shot. You know, Povetkin proved that he's still fighting the old dog yet, you know what I mean? He's still at that level. We saw that against Michael Hunter when he boxed out in Saudi as well. You know, he got floored early, looked like the fight was over, and he got back into it. So it was just a lapse of concentration for me for Dillian, and he's got to be careful he doesn't make that mistake again. I respect him for going straight back in there, but that's the type of fighter that he is. You know, he wants to get in there. He doesn't want warm-up fights again. He wants to get in there and just get the job done. I believe he'll do it, by the way, as well. I really do. I think that Dillian's, you know, he's a great fighter. I think that you've got to take your hat off to him the time that he was mandatory challenger, not getting his shot, taking on all comers. You know, even against Povetkin, we knew he was a live wire. I was in that fight camp, and when I see him training, hitting the pads, I was like, wow, this guy's still got a lot left in the tank. He looked sharp, do you know what I mean? His timing was good. He was on point. He looked like a fighter that knew it was his last opportunity at the big time, and he took it with both hands. So looking forward to that rematch. That's not a foregone conclusion, but I believe that Dillian will put the wrongs right.
I know Dillian's brought in Harold Knight into his training camp. Harold obviously worked with Lennox Lewis and Emmanuel Stewart, part of their team. But is this a must-win for Dillian? He cannot lose.
Of course. Yeah, of course. You know, if he wants to carry on competing at world level, he has to win this fight. There's no ways about it. Otherwise, it's going to be a long road back. I'm not saying he can't come back, but it's going to be a long road back. You know, if he wins this fight, it puts him straight back up in the mix. You know, in a heavyweight division that's been the best it's been for years. So it is a must-win fight, and bringing Harold Knight in the shadow was a great move. You know, the guy's got the experience at top level. He worked with Lennox Lewis when Lennox Lewis lost to Oliver McCall and revenged defeat. He revenged defeat with Harold Knight, and he also worked with Lennox Lewis when Lennox Lewis revenged defeat against Hassan Rahman. So he knows, you know, he knows how to do it, and that's a massive plus with Dillian Whyte in a corner that he's got, that he's relatively inexperienced. You know, he's got an inexperienced corner. But Xavier's a great little trainer, but he's not been at that level yet. So he's still got to learn that experience. So I think bringing Harold Knight in is a good move. And they've had time now as well together to get used to each other. Harold would be, you know, implementing his little things, working on things and what Dillian's done wrong. So yeah, I think we'll see the best of Dillian Whyte. I really do. But he does have to win. That's a major factor in this fight.
You mentioned earlier Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Normally, Spence, when you talk about big fights, you always talk about politics comes involved. You know, the fighter wants X, the other fighter wants Y. They've got this problem with the promoter, TV networks. Everything we're hearing about Joshua Fury is just positive. You know, yeah. We've agreed the split. We've got little things to sort out, the site, the venue, everything else is relatively done. The announcement might even be, I heard today, Eddie Hearn saying maybe in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Is this fight actually going to happen?
Absolutely. Listen, this fight's definitely going to happen. As I said to you, I believe it definitely happens in June. Possibly, I'm not sure when in June, but that's when I believe that they're targeting. And I believe they'll get it over the line. And you're right in what you say. I'm hearing the same things. I know that everything's been relatively easy. They've agreed on the 50-50 splits, etc. I think they're down to the last couple of things that I saw Eddie put a statement out saying that they're down to the last couple of things, as in whose name goes first on the program. Who enters the ring first, and that can all be done by a flip of a coin. I've done that when I boxed in my first title fight. We were two unbeaten fighters, myself and Patrick Mullins, and we had to flip a coin. I lost the bet, so I ended up going in first. And it's important as well who goes in first and who goes in second. So I tell you, that situation when I lost that, we was in a packed arena that night, and I lost the flip of the coin, and it was for a Southern Area title. Believe it or not, we were both unbeaten. And both local kids, so it was important. We had the place packed, and I got in the ring, and I was in there for ages. And then he come in, so the Fuji's ready or not, here I come, and all that. And it was, and you're in there and you're shaping up, and it's quite an intimidating thing, and it gets in your head a little bit. So it is important who goes in first, who goes in second, and whatnot. So, they've got those little things to sort out. But they're minor things. They were things that can be sorted out. Like you say, everything else, the major things have all been sorted. I know they're looking at a few locations. Looks likely it's going to go to the Middle East. I think they're the big players with the money. And the fight will go where the money's at, especially because we can't get crowds in at the moment. I think if we was living in a different world, we would have seen this at Wembley Stadium. But, I understand that the guys, want some sort of atmosphere in there, want some sort of crowd. And they'll also get well paid. So I believe, somewhere in the Middle East is likely. But yes, we're going to get it on. The two best heavyweights in the world, June.
Spence, when Tyson had a couple of years out of the ring a few years ago, before he went to Deontay Wilder, he had a couple of kind of tune-up fights. Yeah. If you say June is the date, that's almost 15, 16, 17 months that he would have been out of the ring. And while as Joshua, Eddie mentioned that after the Kubrat Pulev fight, he took a week or two off and he was straight back in the gym. He's a bit more fresh. Is that going to play a major factor?
Could do. Yeah, it could do. I mean, look, Tyson Fury's got a wealth of experience. He's been around a long time, but that doesn't mean that he won't get any ring rust. And against someone like Anthony Joshua, you can't afford to have ring rust. Because if you throw a jab your timing's a little bit out, you fall a little bit short, and Joshua pounces on you with that speed and that explosion, you're in trouble. Listen, I told you I favoured Joshua to win the fight. I've leaned towards Joshua to win the fight. It's been going through my head all the time, how the fight can be won, how the fight can be lost. And yes, Fury could go out there and box his ears off. That is a possibility. But emotions could get involved in this fight. A fight of this magnitude, emotions get involved. And if he gets emotionally involved, Tyson Fury, and decides to trade with Joshua, that could be his undoing. Joshua's showed a vast improvement since that loss to Ruiz. And just something inside me tells me that he wins the fight. But, especially with the experience, with the lack of competition that Fury's had in the last, like you say, 15 months. It's gonna. I just can't wait for it, if I'm honest. Look, it's one of those fights that we all talk about. We all know who's going to win and who's going to lose and how they're going to win. And, 80% of people say Fury's going to box his ears off. Fury's going to, dance rings around him. Fury's going to knock him out. Other people say Joshua's going to flatten him. But realistically, none of us know. Because heavyweight boxing, Dillian Whyte-Povetkin, one shot, bang, turns it all around. That's the excitement. That's why we love heavyweight boxing like we do. And this is a fight that the two best heavyweights of our generation, and they're getting in the ring, man. We don't often get this for the unified world titles, undisputed world titles. The last person that done that was Lennox Lewis. So we've been waiting a long time for this.
Spence, Tyson in the past has perplexed his opponents where he's gone orthodox, southpaw, box on the back foot, jab, feint. We saw a different side to him in his last fight against Deontay Wilder. So has that given people like Rob McCracken and his backroom team more to think about on what Tyson Fury, because Tyson can do so much variations?
Absolutely, he can. Tyson Fury he's a beautiful boxer. I think that's where Fury's good, using his height, using his reach on the outside, but he can mix it up. He does like to have a fight. That's why he's as good as he is. That's why, he's to many people the number one heavyweight in the world, because he can mix it up. He can have a fight, he can have a tear up, but he can also box beautifully. So I think that tactics plays a big part in the fight. I think if Fury wins the fight, he plays it smart. keeps Joshua on the end of the jab, frustrates him, uses that movement, uses that mobility, uses his footwork, hand speed, and keeps it long. But if he tries to stand still with Joshua too early, Joshua's got quick hands, you know, and you don't win Olympic titles by not having a good boxing IQ. He has, but he's got an underestimated boxing IQ. People think that Joshua's just a little bit robotic, stands in front of fighters, but he's got a little bit more to his game than that. I know that because I know him from old. I've known him since the day he came into the gym. I know his development, how he works, you know, how he improves. He's like a sponge. He soaks a lot up. He listens to a lot of people. You know, I just think that, yeah, Joshua's just going to have that extra edge on the night.
Another fight looks like it's a done deal. There is no official announcement just yet. Canelo Alvarez against our very own British super middleweight champion, Billy Joe Saunders. I know they haven't announced it because Canelo's fighting is mandatory in Yildirim later this month. A lot of people say Billy Joe can cause him problems. Now, we've seen Billy Joe step up to the plate against David Lemieux, Andy Lee. But since then, Billy Joe really hasn't showed his characteristics, his kind of skill set. And a lot of people say the bigger the challenge, the better Billy performs. Is this fight going to give Billy a chance to defeat Canelo? Or is Canelo just too good? He's just the greatest of our era at the time.
I think that Billy's definitely got a chance. If anyone's going to cause Canelo any problems in the world at the moment, any super middleweight, it would be Billy Joe Saunders, just because of his style. You know, he's a slick southpaw, quick hands. He's got a great boxing IQ, boxes well on the front foot, on the back foot, can whack a little bit. He hasn't got enough power. Listen, if Canelo, let's weigh it up like this, if Canelo can take flush shots on the chin from Triple G and stand there and still mix it up, then Billy won't have the power to stop Canelo. But he might have the skills to keep him off. But the big question mark is, and this is a huge one for me, is that if Billy Joe Saunders wins a fight, he outfoxes it and sticks and slips, you know, stick and move, throwing a combinations, frustrating Canelo. Canelo's great at cutting off the ring, and he's physically so strong. He makes boxers work with his feet without even doing anything. He's now, you know, he's become quite cute. He's slipping shots. He loads up with every shot he throws is a power shot. Look what he done to Callum Smith. He just broke him down round by round by round. And by round 9, it started becoming very painful to watch. Callum Smith is an elite fighter, but Canelo rose his stock even more for me in that fight, because I thought at that stage, Smith's the only one that can give him problems. Smith might even do him, because Smith's so big and he's so strong at the weight. I thought he might do it, but Canelo made sort of like easy work of it, really. Sort of like, I was surprised how he handled Smith. And that's what worries me even more for Billy Joe. Billy Joe's got a shot because he's slick. But the big question mark is, can he keep him off? I don't think he can. I mean, he's a strong dude, man. Canelo is a strong dude, you know, and he's calculated in his work. He's very clever in what he does.
Spence, I'll end with this. Lots been going on this week with Mark Breland and Deontay Wilder. I'm not sure if you saw Mark Breland's interview on the Fight Is Right with Spencer Farrell and Tunde Ajayi. What have you kind of made of all of that? I know Mark's been quiet for a long time, but he's come out of his shell and he said a lot of things and defended himself like he has a right to. But what have you made of this whole relationship that's completely broken now?
So what have I made of it? I think that Deontay Wilder has completely lost the plot. That's what I make of it. Mark Breland done the right thing by pulling Deontay Wilder out of that fight. He saved Deontay's career. He saved his career because he was going to be in a lot of trouble. He was getting bashed up. He was bleeding from the ear. Mark Breland is a former undisputed welterweight champion of the world. He is great. Look what he done to Lloyd Hunting. He's a great fighter, right? So he knows the game inside out. He was protecting Deontay Wilder. Now Deontay's been making up all these crazy excuses. And the latest one where he was talking about Mark Breland spikes his water with some muscle relaxant. And what is the guy going on about? I mean, he's gone, like, to me, that worries me. Like, when he's making statements like that and all the other nonsense that he's talked all through this, he had his opportunity to go into the immediate rematch with Fury, the rubber match. Yeah, he had that opportunity to do that, and he didn't fulfill his opportunity. He didn't jump up to the plate. He just went quiet. December come, the contract expired. And then he started piping up. I mean, the guy's like, you know, if you wanted to fight, mate, you had to fight. Fury was waiting for the fight. He was ready, you know, so that's his own problem. So I just think that he's got some serious issues. I think if he fights again, Deontay Wilder, I think that he needs to get properly medically checked over, because I'm really concerned by his behaviour. It's just not normal, you know, and this local and this latest nonsense with Mark Breland. Come on, man. Come on, your own trainer? What's he going on about? Crazy.
I was going to say, do you foresee him back in the boxing ring anytime soon?
No, I don't see him in the boxing ring anytime soon. And the reason I say that is because of the behaviour. It's so abnormal that I think he's got issues. I really do. I think that, you know, whatever Tyson Fury done to him mentally has scarred him, and I think he's struggling to get over that. You know, I think that, you know, Fury done an amazing job in that return, because it was one of those that going into the fight 50-50. By the time round 3 come, well, from round 1 really, but by round 3, Fury was bashing him all over the place, and he took a pounding. You know, he took a beating. He didn't just get knocked out like, say, Joshua against Ruiz. He took a beating, and that's hard to get over for some fighters. You know, that's taking a lot away from him. He's lost that aura of invincibility now. That's gone. People are going to fancy it against Wilder now. And we know technically he's no good, but he's just got some whack on him. And we know that. But now, you know, I think it's going to be hard for him to come back into the game, if I'm totally honest. I sort of agree with Mark Breland. I think his career could be finished. It could be over. And that's because of his mental state of mind. He's not in a good place.
Okay. All right, Spencer, always a pleasure catching up with you, my man. When you next in the bubble? Anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm in the bubble for Dillian Whyte and Povetkin. So I think we go in on the 28th of this month. So just a couple of weeks. Can't wait, mate. I honestly can't wait. I just
hopefully they're still in Wembley. I know Eddie's spoken about taking that international.
Yeah, I spoke about it. That's the you know, I'm speaking to our guys at Sky all the time. No one seems to know at the moment where the fight's going to. I think because we're only a few weeks out now, I believe it will be at Wembley. You know, I think they was talking about Monaco, wasn't they? And they were talking about Gibraltar at one point. I think Gibraltar's now out the window. They're still looking at Monaco, but I think that it's timings now. You know, we've got to look at the timings. You know, we're now in a situation with these travel restrictions, etc. You know what? So that means you've got a whole team that have got to fly out there. They've got to quarantine. Then when we fly back, we've got to quarantine for another couple of weeks. I just don't think that it sort of works. I think that they've got that set up at Wembley, you know, Wembley Arena. And I think that that's where the fight will probably end up, if I'm totally honest. I think that time's running out to take it anywhere else.
No, absolutely. Well, we look forward to a jam-packed schedule of boxing over the coming weeks, Spencer. I'm sure we'll be catching up in due course very, very soon. You know me, mate. Just give me the call. Absolutely. Spencer Oliver. All right, great speaking to you, man. Thank you. Take care, bro. See you soon. Take care.